Good evening, one and all. Welcome to Lemon Live at 5, right here on the Don Lemon Show on the Don Lemon channel. We welcome everybody. We're happy that you're all here. We're going to talk about a lot of things, including showing you some of what happened last night at the most spectacular, amazing, bigly, huge, humongous live show that we had last night with Jennifer Welch and Anthony Scaramucci and Jay Jordan. Fantastic. But we have a lot of news that we want to catch you up on. Two really, really big stories that shows you how, I keep telling you guys, MAGA is having some problems right now. Floundering, flailing, flinching, flatulating, flatulence, all of it, whatever, all the F words is what's happening right now. So let me know where you're streaming from, because you know that's important. I like to shout you guys out, and I like to know, especially if you're somewhere like, around the world. Now, okay, so did someone say they're in Kyoto, Japan, or were they saying hi to Kyoko? I don't know. Anyways, so welcome, everybody. Like and thumbs up. Florida, Alaska, Virginia, amazing, okay? So here's what happened today. And we have, oh my gosh, wait till you see the guests that we have on Laguna Beach. I love Laguna Beach. Love Laguna Beach, Laguna Niguel, Laguna Hills. I love all of it. Virginia, thank you. New Jersey is here. Connecticut is in the house. Dublin, yay! Dublin wins the award so far. Atlanta, Georgia here, Rhode Island. Okay, so just in case you guys did not see it, we're going to tell you all about it. Fort Lauderdale and Los Angeles and Chicago and Chattanooga, Tennessee. Pam Bondi stood at a podium today and sounded like somebody who had unplugged the personality chip from her body. She kept giving the same sentence again and again, no matter what the question was, no matter how directly the press pushed her. I mean, it was like watching. Have you ever seen watching a robot glitch on live television? And so it's they went in there and they said, what can we say legally in case we don't release these, because we don't plan on doing it. And then they said, this is the answer that will get you through all of this. If you release them or not release them, come up with an investigation, find an excuse. It's just say, we're going to do what the law allows, or we're going to follow the law. And so far, the law has not been presented because the president hasn't signed it. And I believe in the Justice Department, which takes it off of Trump's back, because in the Justice Department can decide. Pam Bondi, now listen, she gets asked a series of questions, and you tell me, as my grandma used to say, now, honey, you tell me if you see what is afoot here. Y'all ready for this? Go.
New investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
What are the next steps, Madam Attorney General, for the DOJ regarding what we assume President Trump will sign into law with the Epstein files? Is this going to be on the Justice Department website? What are you doing here over the next 30 days, as we understand it?
We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims.
Yeah. When you say follow the law, Madam Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law passed both chambers last evening. It has not yet been signed, but we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Madam Attorney General, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation? Information
that has come for information. There's information new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward, and we will continue to provide maximum transparency under the law.
Wedding, Madam General. On Ryan Wedding, you mentioned.
Madam Attorney General, the issue with the new information that you just indicated, is the department seeking information perhaps from the Epstein estate, because Mr. Blanche did not have that information when he interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell? What new information, and would you limit the new investigation to just those named persons that the president talked about, or is this a broad, open-ended investigation?
I would refer to the Deputy Attorney General's post that he put out on X, and we're not going to say anything else on that because now it is a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York.
Come on now. You can't trick a tricker or fool a fooler. You hear what she's saying, right? There's a Southern SDNY, Southern District of New York. There's an investigation. What is that going to translate to? We can't release these files because there's an investigation. Now, no one ever asked the Biden administration that when Biden was in office, because Biden's DOJ already knew you can't do it if there's an investigation. So all of these dummies that are out there saying, well, they had it for 4 years and they didn't release it. Well, that's when Ghislaine Maxwell was being investigated and tried and then appealed, yada, yada, yada. And so now it's going to be, we cannot release this because of an investigation. Mark my words. And that answer, what is the answer that I can give? What can I say? Here's what you can say, or we can say, that will be legal. It won't be used against us in court, perjury, all of that stuff. It won't get us in any legal trouble. We will follow the law, whatever the law is, and we encourage every victim to come forward. And what about the new information? Well, the new information, I can't really say that much, but especially because there's an investigation in the but we encourage every victim to come forward, and we're going to follow the law, whatever the law is. End of story. Same answer, practiced, rehearsed, robotic, which means we're not saying shit. And we're going to try everything we can not to release this. We don't care who voted for it. We don't care if it's a Congress. We don't care if it's a Senate. We don't care if it's the Supreme Court. We don't care if it is the apostles in the Last Supper. We do not care. That's what she is saying to you. And so that was a glitch. And when people, you guys tell me if you think I'm wrong. When people like that glitch, when they glitch like that, it's never by accident. It's always out of fear. And tonight, fear is sitting right at Donald Trump's doorstep, because they're going to have to come up with something in order not to release these files. Because the story that is driving this panic is one story Trump cannot bully away: the Epstein files. Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. And every hour we get some new proof that the panic is spreading, like that press conference, disastrous, crashing out on live TV. So look at all the clips, right? Going viral all day. People notice the exact same thing that I noticed. The same talking point coming out of every single Republican, word for word. Like, I trust the Justice Department. Now we're going to go from Pam Bondi to John Thune, who is the head of the Senate, when asked about it. Roll it.
Senate. Now that the Congress has passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, overwhelming votes in both chambers, Democrats say that they think the Justice Department, Pam Bondi, may slow walk the files release, citing ongoing investigations. Would it be a mistake for the administration to hold back these files, given the overwhelming expression of sentiment by the Congress here?
Well, I trust the judgment of the Justice Department to ensure that whatever files they release protect the victims, clearly, and I think there are other items, perhaps materials that were acquired through grand jury trials that perhaps they will have to make some decisions about, but I think they'll make the right decisions. I think the clear intent was, in both the House and the Senate and the bill now that, I don't know if the President signed it yet or not, but is to get the information out there. And I think, as you saw, there was a big vote yesterday in the House, and it was unanimous here in the Senate to do that.
Speaker Johnson.
I trust the Justice Department. We're going to follow the law. They said it like a choir. Someone said like a Sinclair readout that was sent to every station. Said it like a choir that had only one note to sing because they were told to say not only that note, nothing else. Told to say only that note, nothing else. Not one syllable outside of the script. Don't veer for the script. Just say that. And you saw there, even John Thune, a man who usually prides himself on sounding calm. I mean, he's quite a handsome guy, right? He's the stature, he's got presence. He couldn't hide the tension. You could not hide the tension in his voice. He couldn't. Reporters asked him what Congress is going to do, and he just stared forward like he was reading the instructions written on the wall behind them. Repeated the very similar or same lines that Pam Bondi did. We trust the Justice Department. And look, so this is talking points. It's not leadership. They have surrendered to something like, I don't know what to say next. This is what happens, what it looks like when powerful people get told to sit down and shut up because the man at the top is afraid of what might come next. And it's not subtle anymore. Not after the videos that came out today. Not after people were posting the clip of Pam Bondi glitching through the same answer like she was being held hostage by her own cue cards. I have to read what's on this card. I've got to read what's on this card. Follow the law. Follow the law. I trust the Justice Department. Every victim should come forward, follow law, follow. Shh. Other reporters posted the footage of Trump's allies dodging questions like the truth was fire. Like, oh. Republican lawmakers suddenly nowhere to be found when the cameras come on. You know, we've been trying to do stuff in Washington. It's like, well, nobody's really here. Nobody's really talking. So, you know, we're an independent media company, so we have to say it has to be worth our while. Can we do an interview? I don't know. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm so transparent. I've changed. I want to speak to everybody, and this is how we should be talking. Marjorie Taylor Greene, can we do an interview? Eek, eek, eek. Cricket. I'm trying to do my crickets. They're hiding. They're running. They are ducking behind statements that mean nothing and behind platforms that are not going to challenge them. Not, but, you know, somewhat. Now, the person who I think did the best job with Pam Bondi is my friend Dana Bash. I mean, not Pam Bondi, excuse me, with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Dana Bash. Dana, good job. But they're very careful right now. Got to have it. Got to stay on script. And then there was the clip that really set the internet on fire. I think this one, this is one that I saw from Aaron Rupar. He posted it. Where another Republican who kept saying the same old line, the same rehearsed phrase. And when the reporter pressed him, got flustered. He stumbled. Is that the one, Aaron, which one was Aaron Rupar? Was that one of those? I mean, see, I think this was, wait a minute. I think that was Stephen Miller, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Stephen Miller. It's Stephen Miller. I knew I saw an Aaron Rupar. Let's go. Let's look. This is Stephen Miller. I mean, stumbling and bumbling. And I mean, you could see the fear. Look at the fear in his face. Here he is.
Is the president signing the Epstein files bill, and is it at his desk already?
So any questions about that? I have nothing to add to today. I think the White House comm shop's already answered all those questions. Yes?
Can you tell us the latest on whether the Trump administration...
No answer. I'm not talking about that. I don't want to talk about the truth right now. I can't give you the truth. I've been told I have to follow the law, and the law has told me that I can't say anything. These people all know something is in those damn files, and there's something significant in there, I believe, something explosive. And I say, look, even if there's not, I mean, look at all of the ties that Trump has had to Epstein so far and what was in those emails. That's enough right there. But in this whole crazy world, people keep saying, well, is that just it? Oh, crap. He was alone with her, according to the emails, some young girl for a long time. Oh, is that just it? According to the emails, there's a nose print on the sliding glass door that he walked into the door because he was so enamored by these young girls in the swimming pool. Is that it? Oh, he was at the, he invited him to his wedding. Oh, is that it? Oh, they were good friends and dancing around and basically almost kissing each other like, oh, she's hot. Is that just it? You know what I'm saying? We could just keep going and going. And then, Megyn Kelly, well, there's a difference between 5 and 14. Is that just it? There's something in there that the Trump administration is terrified will hit the light. And even if there isn't, this is enough, I believe, under normal circumstances. And now we see the strategy. Stall, delay, hide behind the Justice Department, lean on the legal process just to buy time. They're always buying time. In 2 weeks, they're always buying time. And then you hope the public gets tired of it. Not this one, buddy. You know who said the same thing was, from my home state, Louisiana, Senator Kennedy. Senator Kennedy. But the public is not going to get tired of it. The public is getting louder. The demand for transparency is rising. People are pointing out the obvious. If Donald Trump truly had nothing to worry about in those files, he would be begging for them to come out. He would be taunting Congress to release them. He would be on stage right now waving the bill in the air. And you know what? We wouldn't even be going through this process because Donald Trump would have released the files already. I needed to say that. He would have released them already because that is the God's honest truth. So instead, he is doing the opposite. He is scrambling to shut it down before it even reaches his desk. And he is sending out people like Pam Bondi to stall the press because he knows that he cannot say it himself without making it worse. But this is Donald Trump. He can't. Do you guys ever hear anybody tell me if you ever heard this saying? I love these old sayings. I'm gonna have to come up with these old sayings. You have to send me some. When people cannot, they can't help themselves. When they say, boy, you can't hold water on your stomach or sugar water on your stomach, meaning you have to say it. You got to let it out. You can't. Who, her? Barbara Ann? She's going to tell it all. She can't hold water on her stomach. You guys have heard that. And on top of all of that, Donald Trump is unraveling in public again, throwing another tantrum online today, blaming Democrats for everything, blaming the fake news, the deep state, blaming the entire thing on some conspiracy against him. But here's the part that he never wants to say out loud, that the Epstein files are not Democratic files, are Democrat files, as he says it. They are Epstein files. They come from Epstein's world, Epstein's assistants, Epstein's pilots, Epstein's own documentation, even Epstein's relatives, his brother, remember? These are Trump's relationships. These are Trump's meetings. These are Trump's trips. These are Trump phone records. And then, of course, why is Ghislaine Maxwell sitting in this fancy prison instead of the maximum security one that she was sentenced to when by having this association and being connected and found guilty of being in cahoots with the most prolific trafficker of children or young people? Why? And now all of these things are relationships and all of this, now they're coming back to haunt him. And while the chickens are what? Coming home to roost. So, and while he is panicking about his legal strategy is collapsing all around him. And I'm talking about Lindsay Halligan. Have you heard this story? Lindsay Halligan was handpicked to do her job because she made Donald Trump feel good on TV. And now she is stumbling through this case against James Comey. The legal experts say it is an embarrassment. Judge after judge pointing out basic errors, filing mistakes, logical flaws. So this is what happens when you fill your inner circle with flattery instead of competence. And now her mistakes are his mistakes, and her failures are his failures, and she is drowning. Here is the report to explain.
Well, the reaction inside the courtroom when we learned this was absolutely stunned silence. It was so quiet in there, you could hear a pin drop for a few moments. So basically what happened is that the government had just finished presenting its case on why they believe that this is not vindictive and selective prosecution against former FBI Director James Comey. Now, at the end of the prosecutor's presentation, the judge said, hang on, I have a couple other questions to ask you. And he started asking about those grand jury proceedings, which we learned a little bit more about this week. That is when we learned that this indictment charged against James Comey was never actually presented to the full grand jury. So I want to walk you through how we got there and what all of this means. So we know that Lindsay Halligan presented this case by herself to a grand jury. The original indictment that she presented was 3 counts. Now that grand jury no true billed one of the counts, which means they felt that there was not enough evidence to actually charge James Comey on that count. So now what we know happened, and this was what was a mystery earlier this week, is that Lindsay Halligan never actually presented the 2 counts that they did agree on as a new indictment. So what happened was they said, we think that there's enough evidence in these 2 counts, but not this one. So then the DOJ, the Eastern District of Virginia's prosecution office here, reprinted a new version of this indictment with just those 2 counts. And instead of re-presenting it to the full grand jury, which is what she would have needed to do, Lindsay Halligan just had the 4 persons sign this new 2-count indictment. So these 2 counts were never presented as they were supposed to be. This is the indictment that was then charged in front of a judge and actually charged James Comey. Now, this is a major procedural mishap because the indictment against him could be seen as invalidated. In fact, at the end of arguments today, when the Comey defense team had the opportunity to do its reply to the government's arguments on the motions that were actually being considered, that defense attorney actually hinted that there might not be any authentic indictment that is currently against James Comey. It might be invalid because it was never presented to the full grand jury. So this is a major, major revelation that could have major implications for this case and could give the Comey defense team an extra oomph that they need to try to get this case dismissed. Chris?
Fallon.
Oh, you're muted, Don.
Some of you are probably glad I was muted because I said, "Woo-wee!" I love going to my that's what my grandma would say, "Woo-wee!" Now she done tore her drawers. On this one is bad. And we need to discuss it. So our legal minds are here. But 2 minutes, a word from our sponsors, and we're back with the best legal minds in streaming, on digital, and in television to break this down, and also Pam Bondi and follow the law. We will do 2 minutes. This episode is brought to you by Graza. You know I love this olive oil. It's fresh, it's single origin, and it has become my go-to holiday gift. Nobody needs more socks, okay? Everybody wants great olive oil. Everybody. Graza's olives are picked, pressed, and bottled in the same season. You can flip the bottle over, and you can see the harvest date for yourself, and the gift sets make it easy. I love the dinner party pack. You get a limited edition bottle of wine, cooking oil, finishing oil, and a corkscrew and those Evo potato chips, right? It's an instant party. I've already ordered a few. It's an entire vibe. So they also have the duo gift set with sizzle and drizzle and squeeze bottles or glass. They look great on the counter and make everything taste better. So right now you can get 20% off of your first order, 20%. I recommend the dinner party pack or the duo gift set in glass. So go to graza.co/Don, use the code Don for 20% off. That's graza.co/Don and use the code Don for 20% off. Today's show is sponsored by MSI Reproductive Choices. They provide contraception, safe abortion, and essential health care in 36 countries, often in places where they are the only provider. And this year has been hard. Aid is shrinking, clinics are closing, but MSI is still standing because people like you refuse to look away. After the first Trump administration, they knew their funding could disappear, so they diversified. They still lost $20 million, but they kept showing up for women who have no other options because donors stepped up, because people believe healthcare is a human right. So if you want to help keep that going, here's how you do it. You can text LEMON to 511-511, or you can go to msiunitedstates.org. That's M as in modern, S as in safe, I as in informed. $65 provides contraception for 10 women for a full year. That is real impact. Text LEMON to 511-511 or go to msiunitedstates.org. Text fees may apply. And thank you to our sponsors. And as I said, I see you guys in there saying, when I said, ooh-wee, Don, you are so country. Yeah, well, sometimes you just have to do, what do you call that, an onomatopoeia? It sounds just like what it is. Woo, child. Amen. Sorry, I hate to go there, but that's where we are right now, because that's the truth. And I mean, it's so dumb. It's like rookie mistakes, or something else is afoot, something more nefarious. Charles Coleman is here. He's an MSNBC legal analyst and a former prosecutor and a civil rights attorney. Monique Presley's here, a legal analyst, political commentator, and trial attorney. Also joining us is Dina Dahl, an attorney, legal analyst, and the host of the Midas Touch on the Midas Touch Network. And joining us a little bit later will be Glenn Kirshner, as a former federal prosecutor and the host of the Justice Matters with Glenn Kirshner podcast. Welcome, one and all. Now, I don't know if you guys heard or saw my assessment, but Charles, I know that you were here when that happened. Bring Glenn in. Glenn is here as well. We've already introduced him. You heard what I said. She didn't tour, whatever, but I mean, this is, what do you think? This is bad.
Look, as everyone on this panel will say, this is not something to be glossed over, and it is a very, very big deal. On one hand, I wanted to try and decide whether the embarrassment was greater than the misconduct, and I think they're just both equally large. The embarrassment not only to Halligan as an attorney, as a U.S. attorney, but then also to the administration, or at least to the DOJ, in terms of this is the quality of prosecutor that you are putting out. I mean, there was a time not too long ago where it was very respectable for you to be a U.S. attorney. And I think in large part for the people who have come before her, and hopefully the people who will come after her, that still exists. And so I don't want to necessarily diminish the credibility of anyone who has held that office. But look, when you get to the substance of what happened, this is inexcusable. It is at absolute best, it is cutting corners in a way that is completely just unallowable. And at worst, you are raising serious credibility issues and doubt about not only this indictment, what was presented, what you told to the grand jury, and also the other indictments that have subsequently followed in this vein. And I think that that's the other thing, is that at what point do you not ask the question about the other indictments that have been filed, particularly among Trump's political enemies against other people and their credibility? That's also the problem here, is that you don't know, can we trust the other things that you've done? And then from a strategic level, you've absolutely given the defense a viable path to get this case tossed. And so all of these are just big no-nos that any of my esteemed colleagues on this panel will be happy to explain to you. But this is a very, very big deal. It's not a simple matter of what I think that the DOJ would like to sort of characterize as nitpicking. There is no nitpicking when you're talking about a secret proceeding like the grand jury and things not being done appropriately.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Dina.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, you go. I mean, I don't think you can overstate this. It's true she wasn't a prosecutor, but she was an attorney for years. And I don't think you can even say it's her inexperience or a mistake. I mean, this is a fraud. It's intentional or not. not only on Comey, on the court. I mean, who knows what else is how extreme this is. She not only can she be disbarred, perhaps there's criminal charges that can be brought against her, certainly civil charges against the government. The fact is, she knew that the grand jury had to approve the indictment. And then she went and got a signature from one person. And that right there is the whole crux of like our constitutional protections for a criminal defendant. Why you have a jury is you have a group of people deciding whether or not charges should be brought, or a group of people deciding whether or not to acquit you and convict you. She certainly knew that basis, that foundational basis in the law. And so for her to go to one person for a signature, I don't see how she could even chalk that up to inexperience. It's the most, we give so much power to prosecutors, to the government in this country, and there is a level of responsibility with that power. I don't think you can overstate how bad it is what she did.
Okay, Monique and Glenn, everyone, I want everybody to listen to this, but then you're going to respond to this. So you guys know who Ty Cobb is, right? Well, Ty Cobb says that Halligan and Bondi, he believes that they should be disbarred. Watch.
This is an indictment, though, that doesn't really have to be dismissed. It doesn't really exist. It was never properly returned. So I think what we heard today, shocking, never occurred before in American jurisprudence. I think it will be dispositive. But on the other hand, there's so many dispositive issues here, including her illegal appointment.
Well, I do want to ask you about that. You've said that you think both Halligan and Attorney General Bondi could be disbarred over this case against Comey. And that was before we learned what happened today in court. It also raises questions for me that if you're going to use Lindsay Halligan in this manner, the fact that she has no experience, is anyone overseeing that work to make sure that problems don't arise? But what do you think now?
Well, I do think that both Halligan and Bondi should be disbarred. Bondi has twice submitted affirmations to this court about the propriety of Lindsay Halligan's grand jury presentation. She knew this. There's no way she could not have known this, and that's just means that she lied, or that she's equally incompetent, but more likely that she lied.
Glenn?
Yeah, I think Pam Bondi and Lindsay Halligan, and I'm going to up the ante to include Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, based on what I saw today in the courtroom when I was there. They should all be referred to bar counsel to their respective state bars where they're licensed to practice law. There should be ethics investigations, and there should be sanctions up to and including disbarment. You know, Don, we walked into the courthouse and the courtroom today with basically 3 motions to dismiss, and we walked out with 4. Because Judge Nachmanoff basically took out his scissors, and that last little thread that kept the Comey prosecution hanging on, he just kind of snipped it. Because we went from Lindsay Halligan was unlawfully appointed interim U.S. attorney. That's a motion that has been argued and is submitted to Judge Curry, who's the conflict judge. I watched that in court when that motion was argued. She almost certainly was unlawfully appointed. That's one reason the case should be dismissed. The second was Lindsay Halligan substantively abused the grand jury by, 1, making dramatic misstatements of law to the grand jury, including about James Comey's constitutional right against self-incrimination, not having to testify either before the grand jury or at a trial in the future. And 2, it looks like she presented testimony of the sole witness, an FBI agent, that included attorney-client privileged information. Let me tell you, that is sacrosanct. It's actually not inadmissible. It's incompetent evidence. We can't present evidence that enjoys a privilege to a grand jury. So it looks like she abused the grand jury in at least 2 ways, according to the magistrate judge's ruling of a few days ago. Of course, there was today's vindictive prosecution motion. That was the 3rd reason to dismiss, and that was robustly argued by Michael Dreeben for James Comey. And this guy, Lemons is his last name. He was not up to the task of arguing this case on behalf of the federal government, in my estimation. And then when Judge Nachmanoff started pressing both Lemons and Lindsay Halligan on what the heck went on in the grand jury, because you had 2 indictments, You signed them both. They were contradictory, and there's no indication you ever presented the second one to the grand jury as is required. And Lemons couldn't answer. He kept going over and whispering in Halligan's ear, and Halligan would whisper back. Finally, Judge Nachmanoff had enough and said, Miss Halligan, step to the podium. And he fleshed out the fact that this looks like it was just a horribly botched procedure. So you've got the substantive misconduct in the grand jury. You've got the procedural misconduct. There are now 4 reasons to dismiss the Comey case. And I don't think there is any way the Comey indictment survives.
And Monique, before you weigh in, I just want to say no relation to Tyler Lemons. I don't have an S on the end of my name. So Monique, I think you may be muted. Just to, are you there? No, you're not. You're not. Go ahead.
I hadn't said anything. So
I know, but I thought you said something.
I'm quiet.
Yeah, you are. And so, let's say, I don't think the panel will be mad if I say we saved the best for last. So what do you say about this?
No, listen, you've heard all of it. The one thing that sticks out for me about this failure, this sloppiness with the indictment is these are the kind of needless, nonsensical mistakes that you see from people who have zero business doing the job that they're doing. It's that never happens and never had to happen type mistake. When I did, because the thing of it is the grand jury did vote on 2 of the 3. She gave them 3. They voted on 2 of them. It is practice once you bring them a true bill for the 4-person to be the one that signs, and then it goes to the judge. The steps that they skipped, like I said on my video, like cutting and pasting, Xeroxing. I mean, it's so absurd and rushed and childish. It's the kind of conduct that, especially for a government lawyer, and I know everyone on this panel understands the difference. When you are working for the government, you hold the sacred trust of the people and you swear an oath, not just your oath as a lawyer, but to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States as a government attorney. And she's so beyond her depth in every single possible way. I do not see at all how this case survives. I don't see how any of them hold on to their bar cards, but for the fact that this administration is so lawless that, it's going to take time for them to lose everything, the same way anybody else who has sacrificed their principles, their ethics at the altar of this president. They all end up with nothing.
Glenn, I know that you have a time issue. I just want to say, do you think that this case will survive?
Not a chance. Not a chance.
How long before it's over?
So Judge Curry, who was the conflict judge who was brought up from South Carolina, she's the one who heard the unlawful appointment motion. She said she will have a ruling before Thanksgiving, so any day now. And it's interesting because even today, Judge Nachmanoff asked Michael Dreeben, who was representing James Comey, do you think I should decide these issues now, or should I wait until all of the motions to dismiss have been fully argued and are ready to be resolved? And Dreeben said, because these are case dispositive motions, meaning we're not just talking about suppressing a piece of evidence, we're talking about killing this case entirely, either with or without prejudice. We think you should go ahead and resolve them now. Every signal Judge Nachmanoff sent, he didn't really have a poker face, or at least based on what he was asking either side. It looks like he is ready to resolve these issues, and it sure looks to this old prosecutor like he's going to grant motions to dismiss.
Yeah. Glenn, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Charles.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you. Do you agree with him? This case is going to be over sooner rather than later?
I do. I think that we're likely going to know. I mean, in terms of what the normal lifespan of a case is, we're going to know what's going on here a lot sooner than you would, normally see. I also think that this is going to buttress many of the same claims that have been brought in other cases around Halligan and her appointment, particularly that we've seen a similar motion in Letitia James's case. And so it's virtually impossible, Don, to see that if this case is dismissed on those grounds, how a mere identical argument made by Letitia James and her attorneys does not survive and is not dispositive, because you have created an immediate precedent within the same jurisdiction around the same sort of situation. And so I don't see how that makes it. It would be a very, very interesting scenario. This is going to be a headache for Pam Bondi to figure out, particularly if the appointment is deemed to be something that is illegal, as has been claimed, and these cases are dismissed. As far as Comey's indictment, yeah, I think that's out of here. I think Glenn's 100% correct, but that's, to me, just the tip of the iceberg. That doesn't even begin to get into what other indictments that have been filed under her tenure are now necessarily subject to dismissal. And that is a nightmare for a prosecutor's office. I can tell you that in other instances, not necessarily with improper appointments, but in some cases, yes. If you get a case, for example, a series of cases, and there's an issue with corruption in a police officer who's had their hands on certain investigations or on certain cases, guess what happens? As soon as that article in the paper drops about that police officer, there's a thorough review of every case that officer has ever touched. And more likely than not, those cases are getting dismissed. And so when you talk about, in this instance, a U.S. attorney who's unlawfully or illegally appointed, and one case getting thrown out, there is going to be, more likely than not, Don, a domino effect.
So, I don't want to disparage anyone about their intelligence or anything, but I mean, this is kind of what happens when you handpick someone who everyone says is not qualified. And the reason that, I think it's okay to at least think about it is because of this whole issue around diversity, equity, and inclusion that this administration has placed so much of a premium on, right? This is DEI. Everyone's a DEI hire. Well, she's obviously not qualified. And I want to play this. This is her on Fox News. And this is something else, but I just want to listen to her answer.
Yeah, I think the fact that we had our country was involved in slavery is awful. No one thinks otherwise. But what I saw when I was going through the museums personally was an overemphasis on slavery. Mm-hmm. And I think there should be more of an overemphasis on how far we've come since slavery. Our country is a country of progress, and it's the greatest country in the world. And we should be able to take our kids, our students through the Smithsonian and feel proud when we leave. There's a lot of history to our country, both positive and negative, but we need to keep moving forward. We can't just keep focusing on the negative. All it does is divide us, and we really need to unite the country and focus on all the positive as we approach America's 250th birthday.
Go, Monique. I know.
I'm gonna let Monique get it. I'm gonna let Monique have it.
Y'all so messy. Go ahead. What? Monique.
Listen, here's the thing. Here's the I want to point out the very valid reason why only dodo birds can do these jobs. And the reason why you can't actually be a serious person who knows how to do your job is because all the serious people who know how to do this job would not do these cases. Their professional level of knowledge, their education, their commitment to their sworn oath, their ethics, all of it is why people were quitting, and they had to go find this poach house on the streets. It's the same way with the baby judge who killed the Florida case, and now they're prosecuting people for the same thing that they brought her and advanced her. I can't even remember her name. With the baby judge who was in charge of Trump's first case.
Judge Cannon?
Oh,
Cannon.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so she had 2.5 cases, and they rushed her on through because she was going to able to give them what they needed in the end. And it doesn't matter now, they're turning around and they're prosecuting people for keeping documents after his case was dismissed. My point is, you have to have incompetent unethical people in these positions because either their smarts or their ethical canon will stop them from doing the job otherwise.
Okay, this is what Charles, I'm gonna let you finish, Charles. But I want to play this because this is what it reminded me and our producers of.
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future for our children.
Thank you very much, South Carolina.
It's the music too. I'm sorry, Charles or Dina, whoever wants to go first.
This is Friday level messiness on a Wednesday. So this is look. I'm going to be very quick, so I don't step over Dina's time. I think that this administration has really always shown from top to bottom that it is about optics first, narrative first, and substance second. And this is a perfect example of it. You know, even if you look at the Department of Labor and the images that they've put out in terms of what American workers are supposed to look like, it's literally all white men, like all of it. Mm-hmm. And the women who Donald Trump associates with and appoints and looks to appoint, they have a certain aesthetic. If you haven't paid attention, go back and just look and just see who his appointments are, and if you can identify some commonalities. And the Halligan aesthetic falls right in line with that, which is much more important to
the Halligan aesthetic falls with the Hope Hicks aesthetics, which kind of falls with the Melania Trump aesthetic,
right? And
it really Marla Maples aesthetic.
Yes, and it really is all about reinforcing the notion of like what American looks like, being able to own that narrative, being able to keep that sacred and to purify it, if you will. And so this is not a surprise. The one thing that I will say about Monique's comments is I think she and I and may have been on here had sort of some open conversation early on in Pam Bondi's tenure, perhaps after her selection, but before her actual sort of confirmation. And there was hope because despite ideologically having disagreement with her, she had a very strong reputation in the legal community. And so if there is any significant disappointment here, it is out of her, because you do know better and you did know better. And even if I don't necessarily agree with you from an ideological place, there was enough about her reputation within the field professionally where there was hope to say, okay, this is not going to get off the rails. And here we are, it's off the rails.
Dina, and such as?
I mean, I think it's a prerequisite, unfortunately, for Trump that he's not going to select them unless they're going to go off the rails. He learned the first time around, and that's why it's gone badly so quickly. We're not even a year in, and it's a total disaster. And, you know, to your point, I mean, the diversity, equity, and inclusion, you know, they've always picked people who look like them or are, you know, like them in some ways, right? And it's just trying to give others a fair shot. And she's the perfect example of that. So her talking about that with the museum, I mean, like you said, like she has zero prosecutorial experience whatsoever. She looked the part. She was friends with him, right? Didn't they meet each other on a golf course or something like that? Like the exact example that DEI was just trying to even the playing field, the number of people who are qualified and maybe even want to be Trump's pet lawyer who are not on the golf course, right? So, anyway, so, you know, the corruption is the key component of the resume for anybody who Trump hires. He vetted them in advance. He knew he was only going to pick people who were going to do what he wants to do, but they do it to their peril, right? And I think a lot of your audience kind of brought that out in their comments. We saw the first time around, they lose their license, they go to jail. It's happening the same time. It's just happening faster. I think Halligan already has a complaint to the Bar Association. regarding her conduct prior to what just came out today. She may very well lose her a license because we are finding bar associations across the country taking it very seriously. We have professional responsibilities and ethics that are separate than politics and aren't controlled by the president, and there's consequences.
Well, another thing I want to say is that if you think about it, we're over here sitting in our sort of collective silo around what is ethical and proper. And for all intents and purposes, at least right now, I don't want to make anybody feel upset, but we've been losing that fight. And the reason I bring that up is for those people who are out there who are saying, hey, if you get on Donald Trump's team and you do his bidding, it doesn't really work out for you. That's not actually true. It is easy to see how if I'm a January 6er, I got pardoned. If I'm any of his sort of cohorts, yeah, I may have, if George Santos, the list is long of folks who eventually the cavalry comes for me and I am exonerated and welcomed back into MAGA land with benefits and protections. So ultimately it does sort of benefit me if you're in their mind in the long run. And they're playing, I don't want to do a day, I don't want to do an hour in jail. But nevertheless, there are those who feel like, look, to sort of take the sacrifice now, I'll take the hit. And I know that more likely than not, I'm going to get taken care of and I'll be okay in the long run. So it's a bet that some of these people are willing to take because they don't necessarily anticipate that their careers are going to be on the line. But the nuance here is that Steve Bannon, Stephen Miller, Michael Flynn, those people are not attorneys. Your career and your license is not something that Donald Trump can do anything about. And so this is a little bit of a nuanced thing that people need to appreciate. Regardless of whether there are penalties that you can waive off or avoid, the one penalty that this president can't do anything about to save you is losing your law license.
Right. I agree 100%. And I do think that is the difference. His lawyers have not done well. All you got to do is ask Michael Cohen. I know he was a fixer, but also a lawyer. Lawyers go to jail. And that's also why he can't keep lawyers personally, because he's always asking them to push in a way that they know that they can't go in order to keep their firm or in order to keep their licenses. And so, and then he doesn't like to pay people. And so in one of those three lanes, he ends up losing his lawyers. But Don, I just want to give people some quick homework because I know there's some civil lawyers out there.
Yep, that quick because I got to run. Go ahead.
Okay, they need something sexy to do. What we call this case in the old days is a pattern and practice case. Yes, I agree with Charles. If they messed up one time, if they messed up 2 times, that means they've messed up 40 times. All these people who have been being sued by this administration from January till now need to get together real quick and call some really good civil lawyers and get that case on and popping, because I just want to see the discovery. I can't wait.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. And I love, my favorite thing out of all of this was this is Friday level messiness on a Wednesday. Good to see you, Dina. Good to see you, Charles and Monique. Yeah. Thank you all very much. Bye, everyone. Thank you. I'm not done yet. A word from our sponsors. Support for the show comes from Ollie. You know how much I love my little doggies, my poochies. And like any dog parent, I want them healthy, happy, and around for a very long time. And that's why I switched them to Ollie. It's fresh, it's real, human-grade ingredients, 5 great recipes, slow cooked. Even my picky one went crazy for it. Boomer, I'm talking about you. Ollie delivers clean meals backed by vet nutritionists. You take a quick 30-second quiz, and they build a plan just for your dog. And the Ollie app is clutch, everyone. You can talk with real experts anytime. So my dogs have more energy, shinier coats, and they look at me like, finally, Dad figured it out. There's one looking at me right now. Your dog's well-being starts with their food. So head over to ollie.com/lemon and tell them about your dog and use the code LEMON to get 60% off of your welcome kit. And they offer a happiness guarantee on the first box. If you are not satisfied, you're going to get your money back. So that's ollie.com/lemon and use the code LEMON for 60% off. Right, Barkley? Right. Bye. Support comes from Beam. Beam Cyber Sale is live right now for my listeners, and it is their best offer of the year. You can get up to 50% off, and with my code LEMON, you can grab Dream for just $32.50. That is about $1 a night for great sleep. So if you watch the show, you know I take sleep very seriously. And when I'm tired, I'm foggy, and I'm cranky, and I'm not as good. Dream Powder changed that for me. I use it almost every night. It is made with ingredients like reishi, magnesium L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. It helps you fall asleep fast and wake up clear, no grogginess. And it tastes great. My favorite flavor, whatever one I'm using that night. They're all smooth and easy. So Beam has improved over 18 million nights of sleep. So if you have been waiting to try it, this is your time. Go to shopbeam.com/lemon and use the code LEMON. Dream is only $32.50 until it sells out. So go to shopbeam.com/lemon and use the code LEMON. Okay? It's going to sell out, so go now. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors. We really do appreciate it. So here's what I got I have a little bit more to say to you, because you don't really know how things are going to play out, right? And then all of a sudden they play out, everyone. All of a sudden they play out. What does all of this mean is the thing, right? And where do we go from here? Because there's a lot of spinning and grinning. And I mean that just the way I said it, spinning and grinning happening right now. And all of the conspiracies seem to be really just faltering or falling because people see through this now. And so you got to look at Donald Trump's allies right now today. They're no longer confident. Pam Bondi's not confident. She's like spinning and grinning and trying to figure it out. Not even really grinning, but just like, those rote answers. They're not out there really beating their chests. They sound scattered, and they sound like not only that, but robots that are about to glitch. And so they don't know, they're in panic. The myth of the powerhouse Republican machine is fading right in front of us, I'm telling you. And then, of course, do we have, Andy, that polling that we showed this morning? There's new polling that really makes it clear his approval is sinking to the lowest point of his presidency. His own base is fracturing. Young voters, women, independents, breaking away. We saw that 2 Tuesdays ago. And why wouldn't they? Because every story now is about cover-ups, panic, meltdown, legal failures, conspiracies that are collapsing under their own weight. That's what's happening right now in this country. So let me just say to this, I want to have something that, as we were talking to the panel, you guys may have wondered what I was doing. I was trying to write something to put it all into perspective for you, because I want you guys to have a perspective on just what's happening in this country. So before I go on to the end, and I'm going to show you, wait till you see about last night, because I'm going to play that for you. I want to take a moment right now. Take this moment and just to sort of bring it home for you, to say what this really means, because sometimes the noise gets so loud that you can't hear the truth that's sitting underneath the noise. You can't really hear it. Yesterday, the House voted 427-1 to release the Epstein files. Today, the United States Senate, that was last night as well, passed that bill by unanimous consent. Every senator, not one objection. The only one in the House was from Louisiana, basically saying he was concerned about the victims being exposed. So most of the people are saying the same thing. The public has a right to know. Sunlight is overdue. Transparency is not optional as it relates to these things. I don't know how many times that I can tell you or say the same thing, but I believe this is the beginning of the end. There's only so much that you can, there's only so many times that you can just keep fooling people. Because more than anything, you know, as actions speak louder than words, but more than anything, people's wallets speak louder than the bullshit that Donald Trump is telling you. And so while he's doing all this spinning and the Epstein files, whatever, everyone's like, yeah, okay, that's great. That means something to his base. That means a lot to the MAGA movement, who really banked on this hurting Democrats. And as it turns out, now this is hurting Republicans or MAGA or the president. And so now they're like, well, look, okay, then why is my energy bill so high? What happened to all these grocery prices that you said you were going to lower? And so I can't, and the reason I think that I know that Fox News didn't run the live feed or the live stream of the survivors yesterday, the Epstein survivors, is because the people don't want to see this and they know it. And so they're trying to protect them, but that bubble can be penetrated. That bubble is being penetrated by their wallets. And so they see all of this stuff, Pam Bondi on TV saying this, Donald Trump on TV saying, they're like, wait a minute, what about us? At some point, they're going to come to the realization that, like us, it's Epstein, Epstein, Epstein is what it is. And so they're worrying about their wallets, they're worried about healthcare. It's open enrollment right now. And people are just like, what am I going to do? Are my premiums going to go up? Is this what why were you stalling for all of this when, and why don't you want people to have healthcare? Those are real issues. So I want to make sure that your family has information. I'm going to not leave you, but I want to tell you why we have a new health partner. Here it is. I want to talk to you about something that really matters, especially if you are 64 years old or older. It's Medicare annual enrollment season. And this is a time to pay attention, everyone. I just went through it with my mom, and perhaps you have been there too, sitting at the kitchen table, buried in paperwork, trying to make sense of it all. Plans have changed. Some were even canceled. And get this, according to the Wall Street Journal, if you're not careful, you could end up paying more, even lose coverage for your doctor, for the doctor that you trust. So pay attention. That's why I am telling you about Chapter. Chapter is the Don Lemon Show Network's new health partner. They review every plan nationwide to find out what's best for you, not what makes them money. Their help is 100% free. It takes about 20 minutes. And on average, people save around $1,100 a year. So don't wait. Call Chapter at 212-931-0855 before December 7th and make sure you and your family are protected. Okay, so make sure your family is protected. Now, let me tell you something that I have noticed, and maybe someone did this and I don't know about it. Because in the old days, okay, are you guys listening? Please gather around. Are you guys listening? Is in the old days, whether it's in the Oval Office or in a press briefing or somewhere, if there was anybody else involved in something like this, especially by now, some reporter would have asked or had the guts, the intestinal fortitude, the gumption, the testicular fortitude, all of that. They would have had just to ask this president live or in an interview. If they were not afraid of this president, if we were in a normal time where the media would stand up, they would say something like this: Mr. President, did you at any time do anything appropriate, have any sort of sexual relationship with someone who was underage at the time as it relates to Jeffrey Epstein? Am I wrong? Have you heard anybody ask that question? Do you think that I'm wrong? I'm surprised that no one has asked that question. That's a question that should be asked. But can you imagine he would lose his mind? Because that's what everybody wants to know. How dare you ask that question? That's what people are wondering, because you were for this and now you're against it. That is the billion-dollar question right there. Why hasn't anyone asked that question with their full chest? So you want to know where the state of the media is? You want to know where the state of this country, you want to know where the fear is and all of that? That's the question that should be asked. That's what they should be asking everyone, whether he calls him Piggy or not. SR Warren 103, whether he calls him, I wouldn't care. I don't care what he called me. I don't care what he would say about me. I'd have to ask that question. Don't you think that's a legit question? Why hasn't anybody asked that? Interesting. Well, the folks who last night were at City Winery with us on this show were not afraid to ask, would not be afraid to ask that question. So check out, we had a great time last night. We were at City Winery. This is me and Jennifer Welch in the green room last night, getting ready to go out. I've Had It and the Don Lemon Show. Power Rangers Unite. This was me last night giving my opening. I give an opening statement, a monologue in this show, as I do with my shows here. And I also, I stepped up a little bit out of character right there. And I just went out to greet people because I was so overwhelmed by the crowd and the reception, and it was amazing. And so I just talked to them for a little bit and then introduced Jen Welch, who was just amazing and fantastic last night. I said that she was the baddest white lady in America right now in the country. And then Jen talked about what she's had it with and what she's excited about and what stories interest her. And Jen said it was Bubba Blowgate is the thing that she found most interesting in the story. She believes that is one of the biggest stories this week. And so that's me and Jen. I changed, put on my Don Lemon sweatshirt. But anyway, it's a beautiful, beautiful time. And then Anthony, Don Lemon's biggest fan. And then Anthony Scaramucci came out. I don't know if we have Anthony. Jen and I sat and we talked for a little bit. And then Anthony Scaramucci came out and gave us really the truth about what's happening with the economy, what he believes is happening with the Trump administration, because he has been there. And it was a fascinating conversation. And it was called Don Lemon, Jennifer Welch, Anthony Scaramucci, Unfiltered. And then Jay Jordan was there. Jay Jordan, the comedian, came up, and he's a political comedian. He does a lot of political humor. Jay was fantastic. And then he did some crowd work because he went out in the crowd. He did a little set for us, sat down with us and talked, and then went out in the crowd and put the mic in folks' faces and let them answer the questions that they wanted. So you missed a good time. You have to come and check out our shows. You have to check out this show. You have to check out DL and DL. DL and I are going to be in Philadelphia on December 8th. And then I had a little cocktail on stage. And then we're going to be in Chicago on December 10th. Chicago is sold out. I'm not sure if Philly is sold out yet. And then afterwards, all the folks wanting selfies and whatever. It was just a fantastic time. Okay. So thank you guys. That's a great shot of all of us. Thanks to everyone. And I forgot for our comedian who was there last night. I can't remember how to pronounce her last name. Is it Ciccone? Is that how you pronounce it, Tim, if you're there? Anyways, she was fantastic. And I don't want to mispronounce her last name. But it was a great time was had by all. A fantastic time was had by all. And let me see if I just want to make sure that I get the name right. She is the opener for The View. She warms up the audience for The View. Regina DeChico, that's what it is. Regina DeChico. Whew, I had a senior moment. Sorry, Regina. So Regina DeChico. Okay, so everyone, look, I appreciate you guys watching. I think, is that everything? Do we have any merch or anything, any pictures, or we're good?
No more merch photos, no.
Last night. If you want to know anything about the show, go to donlemon.com. Appreciate you. I knew it was Regina. I just couldn't remember DeChico. Sorry, I should have said Regina. Donlemon.com, and you become a member or subscribe. Click on that watch button. Closing in on 1 million. We're excited. We're almost there. Help bring us home. Make sure that you're subscribed to the Don Lemon Show. And then and such as you can, subscriptions are free and memberships, you get the membership and it's very reasonable. And then you become a Lemonhead. And then you get to come to the shows and you get to wear your merch and all those things. And then also if you go to donlemon.com, you can click on merch and then you can get all the new stuff. I think it's up on the site. I'm not sure yet. Oh, there are holiday stuff. You see that? That's some of the new stuff. We're waiting on the holiday pajama pants that are coming out. But check out, that's a Christmas ornament. And maybe we'll have a Don Claus figurine soon. But Andy, let me see that. And then we have the tumblers that has it. These are our Christmas tumblers. And this is all part of the Christmas collection. But let me see what we have. Can you click on the ornament again? So cool. I can't wait to put that on my tree. Amazing. Amazing. Look at the Lemonhead. Amazing. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. Be informed without being inundated. And I hope that you're okay. Look, there's reason for hope. I'm telling you. Hope, hope, hope. Hope, hope, hope. Okay?
Don, are we going to do a Secret Santa this year? Don Lemon Show Secret Santa?
Yeah, what are we going to do it for? I thought you were my Secret Santa.
Well, we haven't assigned it yet.
Because it is Friday messiness on a Wednesday. Excuse me. And folks have been asking, I should have muted myself before I did that. And folks have been asking, let's do the song. We need it. We need that song today. Andy, are you ready for it? It's Matt Gregory's song.
1 second. All right, here we go.
We need to make a music video with this song of us like dancing around. Go.
It's the Don Lemon Show. It's the Don Lemon Show. He's unmasking the truth. He don't take no shit. It's the Don Lemon Show. Don Lemon. Don, 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 Don. Release the Epstein files.
All right, that's enough, Andy. Thank you. We'll do the extended version on Friday. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate you joining. When is Sour Lemon coming back? We're going to bring the Sour Lemon back. We shall bring it. We've had so much news that we haven't gotten the chance to get to the Sour Lemon. Okay, so be informed without being inundated until I see you back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time when I figure out who my Secret Santa will be. Or if we're going to do a Secret Santa, I want you to do this. Turn the TV off. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern time with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.